Chapter 8: AI's Impact on Society, Governments and the Public Sector. Part 3: Governmental AI Strategies, Policies and Adoption. In PwC's Global Artificial Intelligence Study Sizing the Prize report, they describe AI's projected $15.7 trillion contribution to the global economy in 2030 as a game changer and exceeding the current output of China and India combined. They predict that AI can help to add up to 26% to the GDP of local economies at that time, of which 42% can likely be attributed to increased productivity and 58% to consumption side effects. Although all countries should experience economic benefit from AI, North America and China will likely see the biggest economic gains, with almost 70% of the global economic impact, whereas Europe and other parts of Asia are also likely to experience significant economic gains, with developing countries only modest increases due to anticipated lower rates of AI adoption. McKinsey Global Institute advises that government should spearhead addressing the AI challenges that cut across government, the workforce, and society as a whole. As a further acknowledgement of the global anticipated impact of AI on society and the economy, countries across the globe are formulating national AI development plans, with some already supported by funding in the order of billions of dollars to, for example, help build local industries and prepare the workforce for lifelong and life-wide learning and a lifetime of reskilling. Governments are partnering with civil society and non-profit organizations, major tech players, and others in the private sector to tackle a range of challenges for countries and their citizens. One of these challenges include motivating a broader adoption of AI and associated smart technology infrastructure across more industries and small to medium enterprises to help competitive markets to flourish, increase productivity growth across the economy, and improve labor productivity to drive higher wages. As there are major concerns about the likely impact of AI-driven automation on employment and income distribution, governments need to reconsider ways of social support such as universal basic income, negative income taxes, and work sharing. MGI estimates that although only a few professions are fully automatable, 60% of all jobs have at least 30% of technically automatable activities, and that most jobs will be partially automated without being willy-nilly replaced. As illustrated in previous chapters, many AI applications are also aimed at improving capital efficiency and non-labor related cost savings, and not necessarily aimed at replacing professions. The fast-changing dynamics and requirements of the job market with respect to skills gaps and oversupply can also be better understood through real-time predictive analytics applied to job market-related and other relevant data. Given this trajectory that we are on in the smart technology era, it is certain that the workforce needs to be continuously re-skilled to optimally work in symbiosis with AI-driven software and machines. Governments, educational institutions, and the private sector should therefore work on providing better, cost-effective, more practical, and more relevant training programs at scale that are in line with on-the-job and vocational needs of the private and public sector and enable people to be continuously and upskilled. In South Africa, the Machine Intelligence Institute of Africa, MIA, has for example put some training programs in place to address the digital and smart technology skills gap across all levels of education and learning by blending traditional learning practices with futuristic, immersive, and practical learning methods with a strong emphasis on digital exploration and exposure in a vocational training setup. A train-the-trainer model enables the capacity of the workforce to be upskilled and accelerates the development and improvement of people's digital and smart technology skills profile. Although we are well into the 21st century, the World Economic Forum has a few years ago provided a new vision for education with an emphasis on the 21st century skills that complement foundational literacies and core skills with competencies such as critical thinking, creativity, communication, and collaboration that help people deal with complex challenges and character qualities such as social and cultural awareness, curiosity, initiative, grit, adaptability, and leadership to approach changing environments. Practical, dynamic, and scalable implementation of training that addresses these competencies and character qualities within a vocational on-the-job setup has become essential for humanity's prosperity and well-being. Some of the key factors that are holding countries back include policy enablers, human capital, financial resources, and technology infrastructures. From a governmental perspective, policymakers need to continuously assess and realign educational systems and standards with respect to 21st century skills, identify and prioritize key skills gaps within the context of local economies, resources, and constraints, and support innovative learning environments for institutions and education technology providers. The implementation of AI also requires a range of regulatory, legal, and ethical issues to be considered and resolved. Apart from handling data privacy, ownership, and protection, and addressing bias in training data, the AI algorithms also need to adhere to ethical prescriptions, transparency, and accountability. Another challenge for governments is to ensure that public sector data is open, standardized, and accessible to help stimulate innovation from the private sector or social good organizations. Intelligent virtual assistants can also be utilized to make it easier to use open data services, API usage, and data sets. As discussed in the previous section, AI can also be used to help to improve the delivery and efficiency of public services and improve public safety and security. Governments should actively drive the establishment of AI development hubs and smart technology incubators that support local industries and also attract AI talent and investment. Some of the best use cases are already seen in the USA, with places such as Silicon Valley in San Francisco, Boston and New York leading in North America, whereas Beijing and Shenzhen in China are showing the way to create strong AI technology ecosystems in Asia. In Europe, London looks to be leading the pack, followed by cities in Germany, France, and the Nordic countries. Whereas Silicon Valley has been the top global hub for between 10 to 20,000 active startups, with approximately 2 million tech workers and the global leader for venture capital investment. New York also has a strong funding ecosystem and a leading hub for financial and media industries, with Boston having a long history of excellent collaboration between science and industry and supported by a strong talent pipeline from world-class universities such as MIT. With the Chinese government recognizing AI as being of strategic importance, Beijing is leading with significant research contributions by Tsinghua, Beihang, and Peking universities, and have considerable involvement and support from tech leaders such as Baidu, where Shenzhen has been a hub for strong expertise in hardware and electronics manufacturing companies such as Huawei and ZTE. Apart from London being a global finance center with great support for fintech applications as well as a venture capital leader in Europe, there is also a talent pipeline from universities such as Cambridge, Oxford, and Imperial College. In a Tech Nation study funded by the UK government, it has been reported that US companies have raised $92 billion, which represents 56% of the global AI investment since 2015. Followed by China, $22 billion, and the UK, $6 billion. They have also highlighted 10 cities that account for 44% of the emerging technology investment from 2015 to 2019, with the top 5 being San Francisco, $20 billion, Beijing, $12 billion, New York, $7 billion, Santa Clara, $6 billion, and London, $5 billion. It was also reported that China has globally the second highest number of AI companies, about 50% of that of the US, with Beijing being the city having the most AI companies worldwide, almost 400. Although there is no doubt that AI presents challenges that have global ramifications and are relevant for each country, the implications for specific governments in how to address these challenges and to adopt AI vary across countries. In a recent Deloitte study, they recommend that even though there is frantic competition among countries and companies, that the AI advantage is not a zero-sum game and that there is much to learn from how different countries are adopting AI to help stimulate economic growth and reshape the competitive dynamics of their industries. They provided a spotlight on how some selected countries, in particular US, China, UK, Germany, France, Canada, and Australia, are pursuing the AI advantage and have unwrapped some key insights that can be summarized as follows. There is a growing consensus that AI executed properly will have an enormous impact on countries' economy, future growth, job market, and competitive advantage. Lessons can be learned from how countries approach AI adoption given their specific constraints and varying degrees of AI maturity. From the comparative survey, it seems that Chinese business and IT executives had a significantly stronger opinion on the use of AI to create a strong competitive advantage and their ability to address the potential AI risks. Both the US and China also seem to be investing the most in AI. As more companies are increasingly adopting AI to enhance their products and services and optimizing internal operations, there was also an agreement among all correspondents that the window for competitive differentiation for early AI adopters with AI is quickly closing. The Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development, OECD, AI Policy Observatory, in collaboration with a diverse global community of partners, provides data and multidisciplinary analysis on AI with respect to AI principles and practices, policy areas, country-level information on initiatives from business, organizations, and technologists, as well as the latest AI developments and trends. They also provide policy information that can be filtered by policy instruments such as national strategy, grant, or regulation, and the specific group targeted by the policy to enable and promote international collaboration, guidelines, and help develop best practices. At the time of writing, they had a database of 60 countries represented, as well as a range of initiatives on a European Union level. As a participant on the OECD AI's One AI Workgroup 3 on national AI policies, it has been fascinating to see the thoroughness, diligence, and high-quality work, data capturing, and information sharing that has been done so far to get an accurate picture in this regard. The Future of Life Institute also references the national strategies listed on the OECD database, as well as some international strategies, such as those from the United Nations, European Union, Nordic Baltic region, AI agreement between the UAE and India, the International Study Group of AI between France and Canada, and the G7's Charlevoix Common Vision for the Future of Artificial Intelligence. The OECD values-based AI principles are inclusive growth, sustainable development and well-being, human values and fairness, transparency and explainability, robustness, security and safety, and accountability. They also have specific principle-orientated recommendations for policymakers with respect to building human capacity and preparing for labor market transformation, growing a digital ecosystem for AI, investing in AI research and development, creating an empowering policy environment for AI, and international collaboration for trustworthy AI. As AI is a new general-purpose type of smart technology, the OECD has done some policy research across all main industries, as well as ones on corporate governance, digital economy, employment, tax, public governance, investment, industry and entrepreneurship, social and welfare issues, environment, trade, science and technology, development, innovation, and competition. In February 2019, the President of the US signed an executive order announcing its national strategy on AI, called the American AI Initiative, to promote and protect their national AI technology and innovation, and specifically expressed that the continued American leadership in AI is of paramount importance to maintaining the economic and national security of the United States. This full-on government initiative, in collaboration with the private sector, academic organizations, the public sector, and international partners, specifies 5 areas to help advance AI, which consist of investing in AI research and development, training the workforce to be AI ready, releasing AI resources, removing hurdles to AI innovation, nurturing an international environment that help reinforce US-based AI innovation, and adopting trustworthy AI for government services and assignments. From an international collaboration perspective, the US and G7 partners agreed to launch the Global Partnership on AI to encourage the development of AI to serve democracy, ensure that the development and use is responsible and in line with the shared values of the participating countries. The US and the United Kingdom have, for example, also entered into a collaboration agreement with respect to R&D, promoting researcher and student collaboration, and growing public-private sector partnerships. The 2019 US AI Research and Development Strategic Plan focuses on various strategies that includes prioritization and making long-term investments in AI research, developing effective ways for collaboration between humans and AI systems that augment and complement human capabilities and address ethical, legal, and societal concerns. Other strategies involve ensuring the trustworthiness, reliability, security, and safety of AI systems, and that their designs are properly understood and researched, as well as developing and sharing high-quality public datasets, resources, and environments for AI training and testing. The AI R&D strategy plan also addresses the development of standards, benchmarks, and associated techniques to measure and evaluate AI technologies and systems, improve opportunities for R&D workforce development, to strategically grow an AI-ready workforce, and expedite AI advances through expanding public-private sector partnerships. In February 2020, the first year's annual report highlights a call for a 2-year doubling of investment for non-defense AI research and development, the development of an international statement in collaboration with the Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development and other countries on trustworthy AI principles, an AI regulatory memorandum to guide the development, testing, and implementation of AI technologies and systems in a trustworthy and reliable fashion, a strategy for engagement in AI technical standards, and the establishment of an AI Center of Excellence that assists federal agencies with tools, infrastructure, and best practices to develop AI solutions that address their unique business challenges. The American AI Initiative has also directed all federal agencies to prioritize their investments in AI research and development of AI. Furthermore, the White House has chartered a select committee on AI under the National Science and Technology Council to enhance the coordination of federal efforts related to AI. Some of the key agencies include the National Science Foundation, National Institutes of Health, Department of Energy, Department of Agriculture, National Institute of Standards and Technology, National Aeronautics and Space Administration, Department of Transportation, National Artificial Intelligence Institute, Department of Veterans Affairs, National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration, Department of Defense, Defense Advanced Research Projects Agency, and the Intelligence Advanced Research Projects Activity. The White House's document on AI for the American people also provides other details about AI for American innovation that addresses progress on AI R&D, amongst others highlighting the $140 million in awards over 5 years to 7 NSF-led AI research institutes, as well as computing infrastructure for AI R&D, such as the Frontier supercomputer for high-performance computing and AI that is expected to be ready in 2021 as the world's most powerful computer. The AI for America industry section of the strategy plan spotlights US government initiatives to support AI applications in transportation with specific reference to autonomous vehicles and unmanned aircraft systems, healthcare, manufacturing, financial services, agriculture, weather forecasting, and national security and defense. The strategy plan also has a special section that covers AI for the American worker with initiatives such as the National Council for the American Worker, the American Workforce Policy Advisory Board, and a task force on apprenticeship expansion. Apart from the federal 5-year STEM education strategic plan and goal to commit at least $200 million in grant funds per annum for high-quality computer science and STEM education, the strategy plan also addresses the training of the next generation of AI researchers, as well as vocational training. The AI with American Values section of the strategy plan addresses workforce impact and importance of robust and safe AI and explicitly states the goal of making sure that AI technologies are understandable, trustworthy, robust, and safe, and that the broader impacts of AI on society must be considered, including implications for the workforce and assurances that AI will be developed responsibly. OECD.ai Policy Observatory currently lists 40 policy initiatives for the US, which also include a number of policy-related initiatives referenced above. There has been an exponential increase in funding for AI companies in the US the past decade, rapidly growing from less than $300 million in 2011 to approximately $16.5 billion in 2019. Which accounts for more than 60% of the worldwide funding for AI startups of $26.6 billion in the same year. Although the US has been leading basic and applied research in AI for decades, with support from public and private investments and attracting top international talent to the US, there have also been concerns about some recent policies about hardening of immigration rules for international researchers and tax plans that could elevate student costs. From Deloitte's survey of more than 1,000 US business and information technology executives, the concerns are about outsiders influencing and skewing AI recommendations and insights through training data and algorithm manipulation, as well as the risks involved in sensitive or proprietary data being misappropriated. China has announced in 2017 a new generation artificial intelligence development plan that boldly outlines China's strategy, guiding ideology, basic principles, strategic goals, deployment considerations, key tasks in rolling this out, resource allocation, safeguard measures, organization and implementation. They declare that as AI will change the world and profoundly change human social life, they want to seize the major strategic opportunities in the development of AI, have a first-mover advantage in doing this, and accelerate the establishment of China as an innovative AI-powered world leader. They see AI as a major strategy to enhance national competitiveness and protect national security, a new engine for economic growth, and a vehicle to help build a more prosperous society. The basic principles are to let the advancement of technology lead within the context of a well-formulated system layout that is market-led and embraces open source and sharing. In 2018, China's city of Tianjin made a formal public statement about setting up a $16 billion AI fund, whereas Beijing is planning to build a $2.1 billion industrial park for AI research in West Beijing to accommodate 400 enterprises. From Deloitte's survey of 100 Chinese business executives, the majority saw AI as highly important to the success of their business, helping them to increase their competitive edge and to augment their employees to be more productive and have better job satisfaction. MGI's interpretation of China's AI path forward is summarized via 5 strategic priorities that include building a robust data ecosystem, expanding the adoption of AI within traditional industries, strengthening the pool of expert AI talent, preparing the training and education systems to develop smart technology skills, and hold on to as many people in the workforce as possible, and ensuring that there is a proper ethical, and legal framework that gets the approval of Chinese citizens and the global community. Let's have a look at their plan in more detail. The strategic goals consist of 3 steps, whereby 2020 they want to be on par with the state-of-the-art AI research and applications, improve the AI development environment with highly talented and innovative teams, and taste the first fruits of AI's impact on economic growth and improving people's livelihood. From an economic perspective, they aim for an initial core AI industry of $20 billion, with an impact on related industries of about $150 billion. The second strategic step is to achieve by 2025 a major breakthrough in the basic theory of AI and have some world-leading applications in various fields such as intelligent medical care, intelligent manufacturing, intelligent cities, intelligent agriculture, and national defense construction. This should then translate to a core AI industry of approximately $60 billion with an impact on related industries of about $750 billion. The Chinese government also wants to ensure that by that time there are some preliminary AI laws and regulations, ethical standards, and policy systems with respect to safety assessment and control capabilities. The third strategic goal is to become by 2030 the world's leading AI innovation center with respect to research and applications and having significant practical outcomes with respect to a smart economy and society. They would like to see by then that the scale of the core AI industry exceeds $150 billion and drives the scale of related industries to more than $1.5 trillion. The intention is to also have research advancements and discoveries in areas such as brain-like intelligence, autonomous intelligence, swarm intelligence, and hybrid intelligence, and more complete and robust AI laws, policies, regulations, and ethical standards implemented. One of the 6 key tasks involve building an open and collaborative AI technology innovation system that drives and supports the basic theory of AI, key common technology systems, and foster top AI talent and teams. Another key task is growing a high-end and efficient smart economy through developing smart enterprises and emerging AI technologies such as intelligent software and hardware, smart robots, intelligent delivery vehicles, virtual and augmented reality, intelligent wearables and terminals, and IoT devices, as well as sector-wide implementations through intelligent manufacturing, smart agriculture, smart logistics, smart finance, smart business, and smart homes. This task is further supported through building so-called AI innovation highlands and industrial clusters across the regions where pilots can be carried out, as well as the establishment of a national industrial park and national AI crowd creation incubator base. A third task is building a safe and prosperous smart society that focuses on efficient smart services to improve education, healthcare, and elderly care, modernizing social governance through improved government services and decision-making, wisdom courts, smart cities, smart transportation, and environmental protection, enhancing public safety, and promoting social exchanges and mutual trust. Another key task that one does not typically see in other countries' national plans is the strong push for a deep military-civilian integration development strategy to encourage AI research and innovation for national defense purposes, tight collaboration and sharing of AI applications for command and decision-making, military games, and national defense equipment. A fifth task is to build a ubiquitous, safe, and efficient intelligent infrastructure system that also includes 5G network, big data, and high-performance computing infrastructure. The final task addresses the use of AI to strengthen major national science and technology projects and support the advancement of big data intelligence, cross-media perception computing, hybrid enhanced intelligence, group intelligence, autonomous collaborative control and decision-making. The funding and resource allocation activities for this AI development plan involves coordinating government and market multi-channel funding, revitalizing existing resources, and collaborating with the domestic and international academic, research, and private sector innovation resources. The safeguard measures of this strategic AI development plan involve formulating laws, regulations, and ethical standards, improving key policies to support the development of AI, construct AI technology standards and intellectual property systems, build an AI safety supervision and evaluation system, strengthen the training of an AI labor force, and popularize AI-related science activities. They also recognize the critical importance of strong leadership, organization, and execution capability to successfully execute on this audacious plan. Besides this next generation for AI plan, the OECD.ai Policy Observatory currently also lists policy initiatives such as Principles of Next Generation AI Governance, Responsible AI, National Engineering Laboratory for Deep Learning, Chinese Association for AI, Beijing National New Generation AI Innovation and Development Pilot Zone, and 3-year guidance for Internet Plus AI Plan. The Beijing AI Principles were proposed in May 2019 as an initiative for the research, development, practical use, governance, and long-term planning of AI, strongly urging for its healthy development to support the construction of a community of common destiny and the realization of beneficial AI for mankind and nature. The 15 principles can be summarized as: do good for humanity, be responsible, control risks, be ethical, be diverse and inclusive, open and share, use wisely and properly, informed consent, education and training, optimizing employment, harmony and cooperation, adaptation and moderation, subdivision and implementation, and long-term planning. The contributors were a multi-stakeholder coalition, including the Beijing Academy of AI, BAAI, Institute of Computing Technology in Chinese Academy of Sciences, Institute of Automation, Peking University, Tsinghua University, and AI tech players such as Tencent, Alibaba, and Baidu. Whilst China's AI development plan, principles, and other policy initiatives are bold and impressive, there are concerns expressed earlier in this chapter that AI could effectively be used to enhance their government's totalitarian control, and that AI's worst use cases might not be restrained and even potentially exported to other countries. The United Kingdom is also placing large bets on the future of AI and has published in 2018 a national AI strategy called the AI Sector Deal, which is a £1 billion package of support from government and industry in order to prepare the UK economy and society for the anticipated AI-driven transformations and helping to thrust UK's efforts in advancing the state-of-the-art in AI, its applications, and other smart technologies. This package is augmented with £1.7 billion coming from the Industrial Strategy Challenge Fund. The Industrial Strategy aims to unlock the UK's potential in AI by adding £232 billion to the UK economy by 2030, boosting productivity in some industries by 30% and generating savings of up to 25%. It is built on 5 foundations, namely ideas that focus on building the world's most innovative economy, people that have good jobs and greater earning power for as many people possible, upgrading UK's infrastructure in a substantial way, create a business environment that ensures the best place to start and grow a business, and build places that have prosperous communities across the UK. There are various government efforts to support AI innovation, industry and public sector adoption, and research, which includes £20 million for AI applications in the services sector, £93 million for AI and robotics in extreme environments, £20 million to support AI-driven solutions for government, £300 million allocated by the Engineering and Physical Sciences Research Council to fund research related to AI and data science and complement the new centres for doctoral training. £142 million EPSRC funding for 214 AI grants, and £42 million EPSRC funding for the Alan Turing Institute. The UK government plans to also increase the total R&D investment to 2.4% of the GDP by 2027. There has also been excellent support from industry that matches funding for AI solutions across key sectors such as services, life sciences, agriculture, and the public sector, as well as investments from tech players such as Google, Amazon, HPE, and Element.ai. From a formal education and training perspective, funding of £406 million has been allocated for STEM-related skills development, £242 million for teacher development, delivering 1,000 new PhDs over the next 5 years through 60 new centres for doctoral training at universities across the UK, and industry funding for new AI Masters places, where 2,500 places have been created for AI and data conversion courses starting in 2020. There is also industry support to increase the size and diversity of the workforce, whereas the UK government is also promoting diversity in AI development and enabling access to highly skilled global talent via an up to 2,000 exceptional talent Tier 1 visas per year. An AI Council has also been created to strengthen networking opportunities between academia, industry, and the public sector. There have also been collaborative initiatives to improve the business environment for AI-driven high growth, such as a new £2.5 billion investment fund incubated in the British Business Bank and supported by private sector co-investment to a total of £7.5 billion. In order to provide recommendations for a sustainable, safe, and ethical use of AI, a Centre for Data Ethics and Innovation has been formed. The Office for Artificial Intelligence has also, in collaboration with the Government Digital Service, published in 2019 a guidance on AI ethics and safety. There are also a range of government actions and policy initiatives in collaboration with industry to support AI by enhancing the UK's existing data infrastructure, publish more high-quality public data in an open, accessible, and reusable format for AI use cases, improve access to geospatial data, develop fair, secure, and equitable data sharing frameworks, and invest more than £1 billion to develop 5G mobile networks and telecommunications infrastructure across the UK. The UK's Office for AI has updated this strategy in May 2019 to communicate progress with respect to the AI sector deal's 5 foundations of productivity, some of which has already been mentioned above, with respect to strengthening UK skills, talent and leadership, investment commitments, encouraging adoption across industry sectors, and ensuring the safe and ethical use of AI and other smart technologies. Some other progress includes an AI guide for government, funding of up to £50 million for 5 new centres of excellence for AI-driven digital pathology and imaging, and funding of £30 million for the new Data Science and AI Bay Centre in Edinburgh, as well as £79 million in funding for 3 new AI programs to help enhance healthcare, urban planning, and engineering. Beside the AI sector deal, the OECD.ai Policy Observatory currently lists 28 policy initiatives for the UK, which also include a number of the policy-related initiatives and documentation referenced above. The AI sector deal is also taking concrete actions to advance the UK's grand challenges with respect to ensuring that the UK is an innovative leader and investment destination in the AI and data revolution, becoming a leading player in the future of mobility and the way people, goods, and services move, optimize the benefits of shifting to a clean growth economy, and delivering innovative solutions that address the needs of an aging society. The mission's statement that correspond to the 4 grand challenges are focused on AI-driven prevention, early diagnosis and treatment of chronic diseases by 2030, reduce the quality of life experience gap between the wealthiest and poorest people, and add 5 extra healthy, independent years of life by 2035. Reduce energy use of new buildings by at least 50% by 2030. Aim to have the first net zero carbon industrial cluster by 2040 and at least 1 low carbon cluster by 2030. and ensure that the UK is a leader in the design and manufacturing of zero-emission vehicles, where all new cars and vans should have zero emission by 2040. As AI is regarded to have the potential to become a key productivity driver, and Germany is already well positioned in many AI research and application areas, the federal government of Germany's national AI strategy, which is called AI Made in Germany and published in November 2018, builds on existing strengths and endeavors to transfer them to untapped areas. Even in sectors such as manufacturing that Germany excel at, a German study projected that AI will add approximately 32 billion euros to Germany's output over a 5-year period. The AI strategy specifically seeks to make Germany and Europe global leaders in the development and use of AI technologies, protect Germany's competitiveness, integrate AI in society by considering active political measures and inputs from a broad societal dialogue with respect to legal, ethical, institutional, and cultural perspectives, and ensure that AI is developed and used in a responsible fashion and for the greater good of society. In their 2019 federal budget, 500 million euros has been allocated to strengthen the AI strategy for 2019 and beyond. The Federation plans to commit approximately 3 billion euros for the implementation of the strategy up until 2025, expecting that the leverage effect on the federal states, science, and business will help to double the amount. The German AI strategy proposes some policy reforms and initiatives for formal training and education, such as the Teach and Learn AI platform, which is aimed at specific user groups to develop a strong AI skill base, as well as the formation of no less than 100 additional AI-related professorships. In order to grow and upgrade the workforce AI-related skills and support their lifelong and life-wide learning journeys, broad-based initiatives such as the National Skills Strategy has been introduced to also include driving AI-related vocational training. The Mittelstand 4.0 Centers of Excellence for SMEs that aims to connect their AI trainers with a minimum of 1,000 companies per year, and Regional Centers of Excellence for Labor Research to also support AI-related knowledge share and skills transfer in a work environment to management and the workforce. According to a Deloitte Insight survey, companies in Germany have a stronger focus on AI training when compared to their counterparts in other countries. A skilled labor strategy will also proactively identify and monitor skills that are needed in the future, whereas regional centers for the future will provide upgrade skilling opportunities for employees in rural areas. The German strategy describes policy initiatives to grow networks and collaborations across the business, academia, and public sector, such as Platform Industry 4.0, which is a platform and funded expert network that helps to shape the transition into the digital economy in industry and science. The platform Leerende Systeme that is being evolved into an AI platform to facilitate dialogue and networking between science, business, civil society, and the government. A Franco-German R&D virtual center that provides funding and training program with AI clusters in specific industries such as transport, healthcare, environment, and robotics. Next-generation clusters that aims to transfer relevant state-of-the-art research into products and services in a collaborative fashion, and initiatives such as Digital Hub and the Hubs for Tomorrow. A German AI observatory has also been established to monitor the uptake and impact of AI in the workplace and the rest of society. The sharing of AI and digitalization related information, as well as multidisciplinary social technology design, are also being supported by a Digital Work and Society Future Fund. There has also been progress with respect to legislative framework for AI with the introduction of the Workforce Data Protection Act, the Skilled Labour Immigration Act, and the Opportunities for Qualifications Act, as well as the establishment of a Commission of Competition Law 4.0. On a legal and ethical framework front, there is an initiative to enhance coordination of ethical values across Europe. Guidelines provided for the use and development of AI systems to ensure compliance with data protection rules, as well as ethical requirements specified to certify verifiability, predictability, and transparency of AI systems. The German government is also supporting and funding standardization initiatives, such as the reviewing of existing standards to ensure that they are AI compatible, the development of data standards and formats to encourage European Union-wide collaborations, as well as the participation of SMEs and startups in international standardization processes. Apart from the ones mentioned here, the OECD AI Policy Observatory highlights a number of other AI-related policy initiatives for Germany that provide further details. From an infrastructure perspective, the German strategy also helps to put reliable data and analysis infrastructure in place that leverages cloud platforms and upgraded storage and computing capacity, provide science-driven data services to research communities through national research data infrastructure, ensuring data sharing and open access to governmental data and improving the infrastructure for access to the Earth observation data, improve security, robustness, and performance of AI-driven information and communication systems, expand the Learning Factories 4.0 initiative to support learning purposes in AI for students, and improve digital infrastructure in schools through the Digital Pact for Schools program. The French National AI Strategy, AI for Humanity, which was presented in March 2018 and strongly influenced by Cédric Villani's For a Meaningful Artificial Intelligence Towards a French and European Strategy report that preceded it, focuses on four main objectives that include strengthening the AI research, education, and training ecosystem in order to attract the best AI talent, constructing an open data policy and associated platforms for AI application use cases, developing an ethical framework for responsible, fair, and transparent use of AI applications, building of a regulatory framework for AI applications, and providing financial support to implement the strategy and create a European DARPA. The French government has committed 1.5 billion euros to AI development for the period until 2022, of which 700 million euros for AI research, 400 million euros to AI-driven industrial projects, 100 million euros to AI startups and companies, and 70 million euros per annum through France's Public Investment Bank. The essence of Villani's AI report is focusing on developing an aggressive data policy, targeting strategic sectors such as healthcare, transport, defense and security, and environment and agriculture, boosting the potential of French research, planning for the impact of AI on labor, making AI more environmentally friendly, making AI more transparent, and ensuring that AI supports diversity and inclusivity. In order to reinforce the AI ecosystem, the French AI strategy plan specifies a number of initiatives, such as the establishment of a national AI program coordinated by the National Institute for Research in Computer Science and Control, the creation of interdisciplinary AI institutes in Paris, Toulouse, Grenoble, and Nice to nurture AI research between regional academic and industry ecosystems, ensuring that researchers spend 50% of their time in industry settings and doubling the number of AI-trained students by 2022. Public-private sector laboratories are also encouraged to collaborate on AI research and innovations. From an international networking and collaboration perspective, the French National Research Agency is collaborating with the German Research Foundation and the Japan Science and Technology Agency on AI research proposals. With support from OECD, France has also formed a partnership with Canada as part of the Global Partnership on AI to start an international AI study group focused on developing responsible AI. To enhance the international attractiveness of AI in France, policies are being put in place to amplify France's appeal to foreign talent and expatriates by improving working conditions and income of researchers. Research chairs are also created to attract the top researchers and calls for proposals organized to attract the impactful research projects. From a regulatory and ethical framework and data policy perspective, there are a number of initiatives which include incorporating ethics within businesses and the training of engineers, supporting human sciences research on ethics of use, setting up a national platform for auditing algorithms, adapting existing regulations, for example for driverless vehicles, using AI to improve public policies, making all algorithms used by the government public, implementing of the Cybersecurity Directive, increasing data portability and access to data of public interest, and launching of the Digital Republic Act to open up public data, strengthen data privacy and the protection of users' rights, and ensure that digitalization and its opportunities benefit all. The French has also invested 150 million euros in a supercomputer with processing power of more than 10 petaflops that should be operational by 2020. Several tech companies have invested in AI research centers in France, such as IBM, Samsung, Fujitsu, DeepMind, Google, and Facebook. Japan's national AI strategy, the Artificial Intelligence Technology Strategy, was prepared by their Strategic Council for AI Technology in March 2017 and applies the strategy framework as an industrialization roadmap to the key priority areas of their Society 5.0 initiative that focuses on health, productivity, and mobility and creating sustainable solutions for better human life in Japan. The National AI Strategy, as the second earliest one, outlines policies to include new investments in R&D, public data, startups, talented people, and training. The plan envisages AI as a service and arranges the development of AI into 3 phases, which addresses the utilization and application of data-driven AI technology developed in various domains by 2020. The public use of AI and data developed across various domains by a period up to 2030, and final phase that follows to create ecosystems that are built by connecting multiplying domains. Japan published draft AI R&D guidelines for international discussions that mentions basic philosophies such as a human-centered society where everyone shares in the benefits of AI systems, sharing guidelines as best practices with stakeholders internationally, review and revise the guidelines in an agile fashion, ensuring balance of AI risks and benefits, and making sure that AI plays a neutral role and not put unnecessary burdens on developers that stifle ongoing progress. The guidelines also share AI R&D principles that include collaboration, transparency, controllability, safety, security, privacy, user assistance, accountability, and ethics that respect human dignity and individual autonomy. The OECD.ai Policy Observatory currently also lists other policy initiatives for Japan, such as the Advanced Integrated Intelligence Platform Project, AI Utilization Guidelines, High Performance Computing Infrastructure Project, and Social Principles for Human-Centric AI. India's National Strategy for Artificial Intelligence, which was presented in June 2018 by the government think tank Niti Aayog, focuses on leveraging smart technologies to help grow India's economy, as well as ensuring social inclusion via their AI for All approach. The intention is to position India as an AI garage that incubates AI that is relevant and suitable to the developing world. The AI strategy intends to scale India-made AI solutions to the developing world, invest in R&D and industries that can help to maximize economic growth and social impact, and empower and train Indians with the skills and knowledge to find quality jobs. The focus areas for AI intervention are increased access and affordability of quality healthcare, enhanced farmers' income, increased agricultural productivity and reduction of wastage, improved access and quality of education, smarter cities and infrastructure with efficient and connectivity for the flourishing urban population, and smarter mobility and safer modes of transportation and better traffic and congestion problems. In order to achieve the goals of their national AI strategy, India needs to overcome impediments such as the deficiency of broad-based expertise in AI research and its application, the absence of enabling data ecosystems to access smart data, the lack of a collaborative approach to AI adoption and its application, the high resource cost and low awareness for AI adoption, shortcomings with respect to privacy and security, and a lack of formal regulations around anonymization of data. With respect to India's research ambitions, the strategy proposes the establishment of a Center of Research Excellence to develop a better understanding of existing core AI research and pushing technology frontiers through creation of new knowledge, as well as international centers of transformational AI, with a directive of developing and deploying application-based research in collaboration with the private sector. Some other initiatives involve the creation of a CERN of AI to tackle moonshot AI research projects through specialized international teams and common computing infrastructure for AI. The strategy also envisages a common national AI marketplace for data collection and aggregation, data annotation, and deployable models. The OECD.ai Policy Observatory currently also lists other policy initiatives for India, of which a number have a healthcare and biological flavor, such as the Biological Data Storage, Access and Sharing Policy, National Ethical Guidelines for Biomedical and Health Research involving human participants, National Guidelines for Gene Therapy Product Development and Clinical Trials, and the DNA Technology Regulation Bill. Canada's National AI Strategy, the Pan-Canadian Artificial Intelligence Strategy, which was the world's first one when it was announced in their 2017 federal budget, is a 5-year, $125 million Canadian dollars strategy to further AI-related talent and research capabilities. The AI strategy is being led by the Canadian Institute for Advanced Research, in collaboration with the 3 new AI institutes, namely MLOL in Montreal, the Alberta Machine Intelligence Institute in Edmonton, and the Vector Institute in Toronto. The major goals of the AI strategy are to increase the number of talented AI researchers and skilled graduates in Canada, connecting the 3 major AI centers of excellence in Edmonton, Montreal, and Toronto-Waterloo, developing global thought leadership on the ethical, policy, legal, and economic implications of AI advances through the AI and Society program, and support a national research community on AI. The strategy is expected to increase collaboration and productivity among AI researchers, to translate research discoveries into value in the private and public sectors, help enhance Canada's international AI research and training profile, and produce socio-economic benefits for their people. Some of the national program of activities include the AI for Good National Training Program, AI for Health Task Force, AI Catalyst Grants Program, and the AI CAN Symposium. Canada and France announced in November 2019 a global partnership on artificial intelligence, which has already been joined by the European Union, Australia, Germany, India, Italy, Japan, Mexico, New Zealand, the Republic of Korea, Singapore, Slovenia, the UK, and the US. The aim is to facilitate international collaboration between experts from the academic community, industry, civil society, and governments to form work groups on responsible AI, data governance, the future of work, and innovation and commercialization. The Canadian Treasury Board has developed a responsible use of artificial intelligence digital resource that describes guiding principles for public servants to ensure ethical and effective AI, streamline the procurement process, and instructions on automated decision-making and associated algorithmic impact assessment. From Deloitte's survey of 300 Canadian business and information technology executives, the concerns highlighted in comparison to other countries was an apparent lack of urgency to use AI to transform businesses, as well as slower innovation with respect to embedding AI into products and services. Although Australia has not yet produced a national AI strategy, their government has published Australia's Tech Future that addresses the economic importance of AI, along with the skills shortages in data science and AI, as well as announced a 4-year $29.9 million Australian dollar investment to support the development of AI in Australia in their 2018-2019 budget. The OECD AI Policy Observatory currently lists policy initiatives such as an AI Technology Roadmap, an AI Standards Roadmap, and a National AI Ethics and Standards Framework to support the responsible development of AI. In Australia's 2030 Prosperity Through Innovation, the government announced that it will prioritise AI in their digital economy strategy that lays out a roadmap for the government, the private sector, and society to collaborate on discovering new sources of economic growth, developing best-in-class digital business, support lifelong learning, and address the skills gap. Australia's Commonwealth Scientific and Industrial Research Organisation published in 2019 a discussion paper on Australia's AI ethics framework and launched a public consultation. From Deloitte's survey of 100 Australian business and information technology executives, there seems to be a general positive view of AI's strategic importance, although the potential AI risks are a concern and inadequate AI strategies and lack of AI skills seem to be a major hindrance for many businesses in Australia. In 2017, President Putin of Russia famously said that artificial intelligence is the future not only of Russia but of all of mankind. There are huge opportunities, but also threats that are difficult to predict. Whoever becomes the leader in this sphere will become the ruler of the world. In October 2019, the Russian Federation released a national AI strategy, decree of the President of the Russian Federation on the development of artificial intelligence in the Russian Federation, to provide a foundation for development and improvement of state programs and projects, as well as state-owned corporations and companies that support AI development in Russia. The specific objectives of the strategy include enhancing the availability and quality of data, increasing the availability of specialized hardware and software, as well as storage and processing for R&D and the implementation of AI, increase the quality of AI-related training, and creating a regulatory system and relevant standards that ensure public safety and vitalizes the development of AI technologies. The principles communicated in the strategy plan include transparency, security, innovation cycle integrity, technological sovereignty, reasonable prudence, support for competition, and protection of liberties and human rights. As an action step after Russia's Artificial Intelligence Problems and Solutions 2018 conference, the Ministry of Defense published a list of 10 policies for AI development in Russia, which includes the establishment of an AI consortium across industrial and educational organizations, building an AI laboratory at a foremost technology university, setting up a national AI R&D center, creating a fund to support the development of expert knowledge on automated systems, increasing state support of AI training and education, monitoring social and technical AI trends, hosting war games to study AI's impact on military operations, and discussing AI proposals at local military forums. Some of the other Russian policy initiatives listed on the OECD AI Policy Observatory include a conceptual framework for the regulation of AI and robotics till 2023, Federal AI Industry Development Project, National Program Digital Economy, National Technology Initiative, and Technical Committee on Standardization of AI. In 2018, South Korea announced a 5-year AI information industry development plan and investment of approximately $2 billion in AI research and development. This was preceded in 2016 by a $900 million investment in AI research over a 5-year period, soon after DeepMind's AlphaGo defeated South Korea's Lee Sedol at Go. In the same year, South Korea also provided a report, Mid to Long-Term Master Plan, in preparation for the Intelligent Information Society, managing the Fourth Industrial Revolution, that also considers the role of AI along with other smart digital technologies, AI's implications for the workforce and economy, and envisions realizing a human-centered, intelligent information society. South Korea's AI Information Industry Development Plan firstly aims to recruit AI talent through establishing 6 graduate schools in AI by 2022, with the goal of training 5,000 AI experts, of which 1,400 are AI researchers and 3,600 data management specialists. In addition, to address the short-term need for AI talent, the government has launched an initiative to train 600 people in AI. The second focus of their plan is to develop AI technology through funding AI R&D challenges and large-scale projects in healthcare, national defense, and public safety. Thirdly, South Korea plans to fund infrastructure required to support the development of AI startups and small and medium-sized businesses, an AI-related startup incubator to support nascent AI businesses, as well as the development of an AI semiconductor by 2029. Some of the other South Korean policy initiatives listed on the OECD AI Policy Observatory include a data and AI-driven economy promotion plan, ethics guidelines for intelligent information society, and the Korean New Deal. Apart from the countries highlighted above from a governmental AI strategy perspective, there are many other countries also making excellent progress in this regard. Most references point to the OECD AI Policy Observatory that keeps a live repository of more than 300 AI policy initiatives from 60 countries. Other current sources with summaries of national AI policies, such as Holon IQ and the Future of Life Institute, also references the OECD AI. In the Americas, Argentina is drafting the National Plan of Artificial Intelligence, which is part of their innovative Argentina 2030 plan and the 2030 Digital Agenda. Brazil is building a network of 8 research facilities focused on AI after their initial consultation period in January 2020. Chile's Ministry of Science, Technology, Knowledge and Innovation has created a committee of experts to develop an AI national strategy, which is expected in 2020. Colombia has drafted a national policy for digital transformation in November 2019 and has identified Medellin to become an AI and robotics center of excellence. Costa Rica has developed a digital transformation strategy, the Bicentennial of Costa Rica. Uruguay has developed an AI strategy for the digital government, data policies and strategy for digital transformation, and a data science and machine learning roadmap. And Mexico produced a Towards an AI Strategy in Mexico, Harnessing the AI Revolution, in 2018 that provides a building block for a complete national AI strategy. In Europe, Austria has announced their Artificial Intelligence Mission Austria 2030, aim at 2030, in June 2019 that covers AI's impact on qualification and training, research and innovation, the economy, the public sector, industrial infrastructure, society, ethics, and labor market, as well as AI governance, security, and legal aspects. Belgium launched AI for Belgium in March 2019 that addresses lifelong learning and reskilling, reinforcement of human skills in AI at all education levels, fueling research and innovation in the private sector, transformation of the public sector ecosystem, growing networking and collaboration, and developing ethical guidelines, a robust legislative framework and standards. Denmark presented their national strategy for artificial intelligence in March 2019, focusing on common ethical, human-centered basis for AI, prioritizing AI research, grow business sector as well as the public sector with world-class AI-powered services. Finland produced Leading the Way into the Age of Artificial Intelligence strategy document in June 2019 that identified 11 key actions following their May 2017 steering group announcement. Greece is busy with the final preparations of their national AI strategy and is investing in an AI Center of Excellence. Hungary has in October 2019 announced an AI action plan, which is the first building block of their national AI strategy to be expected in 2020. Iceland is involved in the Declaration on AI in the Nordic-Baltic region, which was released in May 2018. Ireland has launched an industry-driven AI master program in 2018. Italy's Ministry of Economic Development released a draft version of its national strategy on artificial intelligence for public consultation in August 2019, along with the proposals for an Italian strategy for AI that provides initial guiding principles and policy recommendations as a basis for Italy's AI strategy. Luxembourg launched Artificial Intelligence, a strategic vision for Luxembourg in May 2019. Malta presented a strategy and vision for artificial intelligence in Malta 2030 in October 2019 and envisaged to be the ultimate AI launchpad via the launch of Malta.ai. Netherlands has released in October 2019 its Strategic Action for Artificial Intelligence Policy Report that presents policy initiatives and action plans to strengthen Netherlands' AI competitiveness internationally. Norway issued its National Strategy for Artificial Intelligence in January 2020. Portugal presented their AI Portugal 2030 strategy in February 2019 that aims to reinforce economic growth, human development, and scientific excellence through the use of AI. Spain launched their Research, Development, and Innovation Strategy in Artificial Intelligence in March 2019 that focus on priorities and policy recommendations in preparation for their national AI strategy, as well as creating the appropriate ecosystem for AI development and its applications. Sweden launched their national approach for artificial intelligence in May 2018 that focuses on research, education, and training innovation and use and framework and infrastructure. And Switzerland's AI expert group has published its recommendations for a Swiss AI strategy. In East Europe and Western Asia, Poland published a draft of its national AI strategy, Artificial Intelligence Development Policy in Poland, for 2019 to 2027 in November 2019. Romania is currently preparing its national AI strategy that seeks to drive the adoption of safe AI applications, foster fundamental research that leads to practical AI, whilst protecting human rights and social values. Estonia presented Estonia's national AI strategy in July 2019 to promote the development and use of AI applications in the private and public sector, support AI research, increasing the relevant AI skills and competencies, and establishment of a legal environment to facilitate AI adoption. Serbia recently published their strategy for the development of artificial intelligence in the Republic of Serbia for the period 2020 to 2025. Czech Republic released its national strategy for artificial intelligence in May 2019, which plans to enhance its economic growth and AI competitiveness through development of a responsible and trusted AI ecosystem, the digital transformation of business, and the economic development of society based on equitable opportunities and AI benefits. Bulgaria is preparing its national AI strategy focusing on policy initiatives with respect to research, education, and training. The Slovak Republic has their AI-related policies defined as part of the action plan for the digital transformation of Slovakia for 2019 to 2022 that presents practical steps to develop a trustworthy, sustainable, and human-centric AI ecosystem and is based on a broader strategy of digital transformation of Slovakia 2030. Slovenia has a working group preparing their national AI strategy and is also establishing an AI research center in Ljubljana. Croatia is currently preparing its national AI strategy, which is expected in 2020. Turkey is also working on their national AI strategy, have a broader 2023 industry and technology strategy, and have focus groups, research support, and a technology roadmap for AI. Cyprus has approved the National Artificial Intelligence Strategy of Cyprus in January 2020. Kazakhstan has an AI Research and Development Support Fund and a roadmap focused on the development of competencies, which includes AI. Latvia published its national AI strategy on developing artificial intelligence solutions in February 2020. And Lithuania published Lithuanian Artificial Intelligence Strategy, a Vision of the Future, in April 2019. In Asia Pacific, Singapore has a number of policy initiatives, which includes AI Singapore, that was launched in May 2017 as a 5-year, 150 million Singapore dollar national program based on AI research, technology, innovation, and makerspace as key pillars. Thailand's Digital Economy and Society Ministry has drafted their first AI ethics guidelines in 2019. Vietnam has published a policy document on the plan for research and development of AI to help grow their economy for the period 2018 to 2025. And New Zealand has launched an AI forum that released a research report called Artificial Intelligence: Shaping a Future New Zealand. In the Middle East, Israel has prepared an AI R&D framework and activities of the Israeli Innovation Authority and is setting up an AI strategy government team. Saudi Arabia has established the Saudi Data and Artificial Intelligence Authority in 2019 as the owner of their national AI agenda and a national center of AI, which was set up in August 2019. And United Arab Emirates announced in October 2017 the vision of the National Strategy for Artificial Intelligence of 2031, as well as initiatives such as an AI network and Dubai's AI Principles and Guidelines, aimed to develop AI in a safe, responsible, and ethical way. In Africa, Egypt has a national AI strategy that is based on capacity building and applied research, a national council for AI that drives governance of the strategy, and has led the establishment of an African working group on AI under the auspices of the African Union. Morocco has an R&D center specializing in AI and information and communication technologies. Kenya has announced in January 2018 a government task force to create a 5-year strategy on national use of emerging technologies. And South Africa has published a report of the Presidential Commission on the Fourth Industrial Revolution in August 2020 that makes specific recommendations with respect to investing in human capital, establishing an AI institute, creating a platform for advanced manufacturing and new materials, securing and availing data to enable innovation, incentivizing future industries, platforms and applications of Fourth Industrial Revolution technologies, building Fourth Industrial Revolution infrastructure, review and amending policy and legislation, and establishing a Fourth Industrial Revolution Strategy Implementation Coordination Council. Other AI initiatives in South Africa includes the Machine Intelligence Institute of Africa, MIA, that was launched in 2016 to help transform Africa through AI and other smart technology, as well as the Insimbi Future Production Technologies Initiative that was launched in 2018 with the goal of advancing South Africa's manufacturing sector using technologies such as robotics and AI, nanotechnologies, and quantum computing. The 4IR-SA partnership in South Africa is another initiative that involves the Department of Communications and Digital Technologies, private sector and some universities that aims to stimulate and facilitate an inclusive national dialogue to shape a coherent national response to the Fourth Industrial Revolution in the country. In Nigeria, Data Science Nigeria is committed to raising 1 million AI talents in 10 years and help to accelerate Nigeria's socio-economic development through a solutions-oriented application of AI in solving social and business problems. Africa already has 122 million active users of mobile financial services, more than half the global total. Its number of smartphone connections is forecast to double from 350 million in 2015 to 636 million in 2022, twice the projected number in North America. Over the same period, mobile data traffic across Africa is expected to increase 7-fold. In a new book published by the Harvard Business Review, Africa's Business Revolution: How to Succeed in the World's Next Big Growth Market, one message stands out. Digital technologies allow forward-looking businesses to recast Africa's challenges as an opportunity to innovate and address massive unmet demand. They estimate that private consumption in Africa rose from $860 billion in 2008 to $1.4 trillion in 2015, significantly higher than that of India, which has a similar population size. They forecast that it could reach $2.1 trillion by 2025. Yet, Africa's consumers are still woefully underserved. There are 60,000 people per formal retail outlet in Africa, compared with just 400 people per store in the United States. This fast-growing underserved population and unmet demand, coupled with rapid digitization and technology advancements, provide the perfect environment for the launch of Africa's first digital platform ecosystem. The University of Pretoria has published a report called Artificial Intelligence for Africa: An Opportunity for Growth, Development and Democratization that outlines what AI will mean for Africa in terms of its key growth sectors, the AI stakeholders, the challenges and elements of an AI strategy that works for Africa. With effective application of AI and smart technologies, agriculture yields can be significantly increased, healthcare outcomes can be improved with more personalized and accessible services. Financial services can reach more underserved citizens in a secure way, and public services can be more responsive and efficient. However, there are significant challenges to be overcome, which includes education systems that need rapid transformation to empower more citizens at scale. Broadband internet coverage needs to be swiftly expanded to include rural areas. AI needs to be trusted through fair, secure, and inclusive use, and data should be more accessible to enable users, researchers, and application builders to drive AI applications. Governments need to develop clear roadmaps to guide AI adoption, enhance their regulatory and policy frameworks to support the use of smart and data-driven technologies to enable innovative solutions and economic growth, and create a collaborative framework and the necessary supporting infrastructure for AI research and development. Through smart technology, governments around the world are faced with a multitude of ways to offer public services, include and connect citizens, improve education and job readiness, solve entrenched socio-economic disparities, and stamp out corruption. Through basic digitization and smart technologies, countries now have new ways to uplift their citizens and become active members of the global digital economy. The 2019 report published by the Kenyan government focuses on the use of AI and blockchain to advance the Kenyan Big Four agenda of manufacturing, affordable housing, universal health coverage, and food security. This speaks to many things, but the one that can be focused on is the leapfrog effect. Whilst Kenya is still behind, relatively speaking, it shows intent to join the global revolution and improve public service delivery. The Kenyan government is not the only one to be thinking about AI and blockchain like this. Estonia, or e-Estonia, is one of the most advanced e-governments in the world, currently offering 99% of their public services online and allowing citizens to be always safely connected. Among their technologies are blockchain and AI, contributing to their being able to offer e-residency to citizens outside of Estonia who are now able to start, manage, and run a business in Estonia from anywhere in the world. On top of this, Estonian citizens only ever must submit data once. It is stored using blockchain technology, and any new services or processes can merely consult these databases without ever having to bother citizens. The UAE state-mandated commitment to develop AI is seeping through the country from every angle. Their public campaign, supported by the Dubai Future Council's task to use smart technology, knowledge, and expertise to create solutions and opportunities through government and private sector experts, play a large part in their current advancement. Deloitte Insights, in their analysis on how countries are pursuing an AI advantage, recommends taking a balanced approach that includes creating a sense of urgency around AI adoption as the window for competitive differentiation is small, in particular for businesses. Respecting the risks of AI without rushing into potential mistakes just to keep up with the others, developing a strong foundation for an AI-powered future, exploring creative ways to accelerate AI capabilities via external collaboration, making plans that takes into consideration that AI, like electricity, will become easier to acquire over time, and creating a vision for what an augmented workforce looks like, training and equipping citizens, and building their own AI expertise. The Brookings Institution's Artificial Intelligence and Emerging Technology Initiative compares the pursuit for domination in AI as the space race of our time and has provided their perspective after studying 34 national AI strategies. In their opinion, governments are broadly speaking failing to plan for operational investments and continue to be a lot more ambitious and aspirational as opposed to being practical in what they set out to do. It was interesting to see that they view Italy's national AI plan to be the most comprehensive, although not commenting on its quality and sophistication, followed by France, Germany, New Zealand, and the United States. According to them, the national AI strategies are missing details on how they are going to marshal their countries on the AI journey from an execution, funding, and communications perspective. Brookings has also published a white paper that emphasizes the importance and opportunities of transatlantic cooperation on AI between the European Union and the United States, and notes that it is convinced that international cooperation on AI matters must be based on an approach that promotes the respect of fundamental rights, including human dignity, pluralism, inclusion, non-discrimination, and protection of privacy and personal data, and it will strive to export its values across the world.